These most rare and valuable old, dirty, wheat pennies in your pocket change. These old, brown, scratched pennies, the coins most people toss aside without a second glance, and that mistake has already cost collectors life-changing money. Hidden errors, mint marks, and shocking metal mistakes have turned filthy 1-cent coins. Stop, don't blink, because the old, dirty penny sitting in a jar, a drawer, or even your pocket could be big money, a piece of hidden treasure, and for the right person, a truly life-changing value. I'm talking about a coin most people ignore without a second thought, the 1939 old, dirty wheat penny, and once you hear what collectors know about this coin, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. Here's the mystery. 1939 was a quiet year on paper, but behind the scenes, it was one of the most dangerous years in U.S. minting history for errors. America was standing on the edge of World War II. The U.S. Mint was under pressure, dies were overused, and quality control was far from perfect. Coins were struck fast, hard, and in massive numbers, and mistakes slipped through. Those mistakes went straight into circulation. And that's why today, collectors actively hunt old, dirty 1939 wheat pennies. Because the rare ones don't look shiny. They look forgotten. Let's talk numbers, because this is where jaws drop. A normal worn 1939 wheat penny might be worth a few cents. But the right 1939 penny, with the right mint mark and error, can jump to hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, tens of thousands of dollars. And no, that's not hype. That's real auction money. Now reset your attention, because this is critical. First, grab the coin and check the date. You're looking for 1939 on the obverse under Lincoln's shoulder. Next, look just below the date for a mint mark. No mint mark means Philadelphia. A small d means Denver. An S means San Francisco. And this is where the story explodes. The 1939 D wheat penny is the sleeper. While millions were struck, far fewer survive with strong details, and even fewer with genuine errors. High-grade examples have sold for $2,000 to $8,000, and error versions go much higher. But here's the first shock. Condition isn't everything. Errors beat condition every time. Now look closely at the back of the coin, the wheat ears. Do they look sharp? Or do they look doubled, smeared, or oddly distorted? A double die reverse is one of the most exciting finds. Strong doubling on the wheat ears or lettering can bring $500 to $3,000, depending on clarity and authentication. Collectors pay for mistakes they can see. Reset again, the color ***. A normal 1939 penny should be brown or dark brown if circulated. But if your coin looks unusually red, orange, or has traces of original red luster under dirt, stop. Red or red-brown survivors are rare. A 1939 penny with strong original color, even lightly worn, can sell for hundreds to thousands. Now here's where it gets dangerous, in a good way. Look at the edge and rim. Is it uneven? Thicker on one side? Flattened? If the coin looks spread out, you may have a broad strike error. Broad-struck 1930s wheat pennies have sold for $300 to $200, even when heavily circulated. And most people think those coins are damaged. They're not. Now hold the coin flat and look at Lincoln's portrait. Does it look slightly doubled? Especially around the eye, nose, or lettering. A double die obverse, even a modest one, can bring $400 to $500. Strong examples go higher. Now let me reset your attention with a true auction shocker. A circulated 1939 D wheat penny with a dramatic error, dirty, scratched, and ignored, was authenticated and sold for over $4,000. The owner found it in a mixed roll of pennies bought for face value. That's hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. Now let's talk about off-metal and planchet errors. If your 1939 penny looks unusually thin, underweight, or oddly shaped, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. Wrong planchet wheat pennies are extremely rare and have sold from $2,000 to over $10,000, depending on the metal and verification. And yes, collectors fight over these. Another attention reset, clipped planchets, If your coin looks like a clean bite was taken out of it, that's not damage. That's a mint error. Curved clips are especially desirable. A clipped 1939 wheat penny can sell for $200 to 000 plus, and more if paired with another error. Stacked errors equal life-changing value. Now here's something emotional and important. Many of the most valuable wheat pennies ever found were dirty, ugly, almost thrown away. Cleaning a coin like this can destroy 70 to 90% of its value instantly. Dirt is not the enemy. Dirt is protection. That's why collectors say big money doesn't always shine. Sometimes big money looks forgotten, and demand is exploding. Wheat pennies are disappearing from circulation. Collectors in the US and UK are competing for top examples. Prices keep climbing as supply dries up. Which brings us to the cliffhanger. Somewhere right now, a 1939 wheat penny worth far more than 1 cent is sitting in a jar, a roll, or an inherited collection about to be ignored. Stop right now, because the old, dirty penny you're about to ignore could be big money, a piece of forgotten hidden treasure, and for some people, a truly life-changing value. I'm talking about the 1940 old, dirty wheat penny, a coin so common that millions were spent, yet so dangerous that the right one can still shock seasoned collectors today. And here's the part that makes people freeze. The most valuable ones usually look the worst. Now let me pull you into the mystery. The year 1940 sits in a strange moment in American history. The country was preparing for war, the U.S. Mint was under pressure, production was intense, and dies were pushed beyond their limits. When that happens, mistakes don't just occur, they multiply. Coins were struck fast, inspected lightly, and rushed into circulation. Those mistakes escaped. They lived in pockets, coffee cans, and jars for decades. And that's exactly why collectors now search for old, dirty 1940 wheat pennies, because those are the ones that survived without being fixed. Let's talk money, because this is where jaws drop. A normal worn 1940 wheat penny might be worth just a few cents. But the right 1940 penny, with the right mint mark, condition, or error, can sell for hundreds, thousands, and in rare cases, tens of thousands of dollars. These aren't fantasy numbers. These are real auction results. Now reset your attention. This is critical. Pick up the coin and check the date, 1940. Then look directly under the date for the mint mark. No mint mark means Philadelphia. A D means Denver. An S means San Francisco. And this is where the danger and opportunity begins. The 1940 S wheat penny is notorious among collectors. Many were weakly struck. Strong, sharp examples are scarce. High-grade survivors have sold for $3,000 to over $10,000. But here's the shock. Asterisk, asterisk, even circulated coins can be valuable if they show errors, asterisk, asterisk. Now flip the coin and look at the wheat ears. Do the lines look doubled, thickened, shadowed? A double die reverse is one of the most exciting finds in this year. Clear doubling on the wheat ears or lettering can bring $500 to $3,000, depending on strength and authentication. Collectors pay for mistakes they can see. Reset again, asterisk, asterisk, color, asterisk, asterisk. A normal 1940 penny should be brown if it's circulated. But if your coin shows patches of red, orange, or red-brown luster beneath the dirt, stop. Original red survivors are rare. A 1940 wheat penny with strong original color, even lightly worn, can sell for hundreds to thousands of dollars. And most people never notice this. Now check the rim and edge. Is it uneven? Thicker on one side? Flattened or spread out? If the coin looks wider than normal, you may have a broad strike error. Broad-struck wheat pennies from the 1940s have sold for $300 to $200, even when heavily circulated. And guess what? Many people think these are damaged coins. They're not. Now look at Lincoln's portrait. Focus on the eye, nose, and lettering. Do you see doubling or shadowing? A double die obverse, even a moderate one, can sell for $400 to $500. Strong examples can go higher. Now let me reset your attention with a true auction shocker. A dirty, circulated 1940 S wheat penny with a dramatic mint error sold for over $6,000 after authentication. The owner nearly spent it. It had sat in a jar for decades because it looked ugly. That's hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. Now let's talk about off-metal and planchet errors. If your 1940 penny feels unusually light, thin, or oddly shaped, you could be holding a coin struck on the wrong planchet. Wrong planchet wheat pennies are extremely rare and have sold for $2 to over $10,000, depending on the metal and certification. Collectors fight for these. Another attention reset. Clipped planchets. If your penny looks like a clean bite was taken out of it, that's not damage, it's a mint error. Curved clips are especially valuable. A clipped 1940 wheat penny can sell for $200 to $1,000 or more, and much higher if paired with another error. Stacked errors lead to life-changing value. Now listen closely, this part matters. Never clean these coins. Cleaning can destroy 70 to 90% of their value instantly. Dirt is not your enemy. Dirt is evidence. Dirt is protection. That's why collectors say big money doesn't always shine. Sometimes big money looks forgotten, and demand is rising fast. Wheat pennies are disappearing from circulation. Collectors in the US and UK are competing for the best examples. Prices keep climbing as supply dries up. Which brings us to the cliffhanger. Somewhere right now, a 1940 wheat penny worth far more than 1 cent is sitting in a jar, a roll, or an inherited collection about to be ignored. Stop, do not blink, because the old, dirty penny you're about to toss aside could be big money, a piece of forgotten hidden treasure, and for the right person, a truly life-changing value. I'm talking about the 1941 old, dirty wheat penny, a coin so common-looking that people ignore it, yet so dangerous that collectors quietly hunt it every single day. And here's the shocker. The most valuable ones usually look the worst. Now let me pull you into the mystery. 1941 wasn't just another year. America was on the brink of World War II. The U.S. Mint was under intense pressure to produce massive quantities of coinage quickly. Dies were overused. Inspections were rushed. And when speed beats precision, mistakes escape. Those mistakes weren't melted down. They went straight into circulation. They lived in pockets, cash registers, coffee cans, and dusty jars for decades. And that's why today, collectors search specifically for old, dirty 1941 wheat pennies, because that's where the secret survived. Let's talk money, because this is where things get real. A normal, worn 1941 wheat penny might be worth just a few cents. But the right 1941 penny, with the right mint mark or error, can jump to hundreds, thousands, and in rare cases, over $10,000. These aren't rumors. These are real auction prices. Now reset your attention, because this part matters. Pick up the coin and check the date, 1941. Then look just under the date for the mint mark. No mint mark means Philadelphia. A D means Denver. An S means San Francisco. And here's where collectors lean in. The 1941 S wheat penny is famous for weak strikes. Sharp examples are scarce. High-grade survivors have sold for $3,000 to over $7,000. But here's the twist. Even circulated coins can be worth serious money if they show errors. Now flip the coin over and look at the wheat ears. Do the lines look doubled, thick, or shadowed? One of the most exciting finds is the 1941 double die obverse. Look closely at the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust, and Lincoln's eye and profile. Clear doubling can push values into the $500 to $3,500 range, depending on strength and certification. Collectors pay for mistakes they can clearly see. Reset again, color. A normal circulated 1941 penny should be dark brown. But if your coin shows flashes of red or red-brown beneath the dirt, stop immediately. Original copper color is rare. A 1941 wheat penny with remaining red luster, even lightly worn, can sell for hundreds to thousands of dollars. And most people never notice this because they assume dirt means damage. Now check the rim and edge. Run your finger around it. Does it feel uneven? Thicker on one side? Spread out? That could be a broad strike error. Broad-struck wheat pennies from the early 1940s have sold for $300 to $200, even when heavily circulated. Most people spend these coins thinking they're ruined. They're not. Now look closely at Lincoln's face, especially the eye, nose, and jawline. Do you see doubling or a ghost-like outline? A double die obverse, even a moderate one, can sell for $400 to $500. Strong examples go even higher. Now let me reset your attention with a real auction shock. A dirty, circulated 1941 wheat penny with a strong double die was authenticated and sold for over $4,000. The The owner found it in a mixed roll bought for face value. That's hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. Now let's talk about off-metal and planchet errors. If your 1941 penny feels unusually light, thin, or oddly shaped, you may be holding a coin struck on the wrong planchet. Wrong planchet wheat pennies are extremely rare and have sold for $2,000 to over $10,000, depending on the metal and condition. Collectors fight for these. Another attention reset. Clipped planchets. If your penny looks like a clean bite was taken out of it, that's not damage, it's a mint error. Curved clips are especially desirable. A clipped 1941 wheat penny can sell for $200 to $1,000 or more, and much higher if combined with another error. Stacked errors are where coins cross into life-changing value territory. Now listen carefully, this part matters. Never clean these coins. Cleaning can destroy 70 to 90% of the value instantly. Dirt is not your enemy. Dirt is protection. Dirt is proof the coin survived untouched. That's why seasoned collectors say big money doesn't always shine. Sometimes big money looks forgotten, and here's the final shock: demand is rising fast. Wheat pennies are vanishing from circulation. Collectors in the US and UK are competing for rare varieties. Auction prices keep climbing as supply dries up, which brings us to the cliffhanger, somewhere right now. A 1941 wheat penny worth far more than 1 cent is sitting in a jar, a roll, or an inherited collection about to be ignored. Stop, do not scroll, because the old, dirty penny sitting in your jar right now could be big money, a piece of forgotten hidden treasure, and in rare cases a truly life-changing value worth more than a brand new car. I'm talking about the 1942 old, dirty wheat penny, a coin most people think is ordinary until they discover what collectors know. And once you hear this, you'll never ignore a penny again. Here's the mystery. 1942 was one of the most chaotic years in U.S. mint history. America was fully involved in World War II. Metal shortages were looming. Mint workers were under pressure to produce coins at record speed. Dies were reused longer than they should have been. Mistakes weren't just possible, they were inevitable. And some of those mistakes slipped out into circulation unnoticed. Those coins weren't saved. They weren't protected. They were spent, dropped, scratched, and forgotten. That's why today, collectors hunt for old, dirty 1942 wheat pennies, because the rare ones don't shine. They survive by looking worthless. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where hearts start pounding. A normal, worn 1942 wheat penny might be worth a few cents. But certain 1942 varieties and errors have sold for hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, well over $10,000. That's not hype. That's real auction history. Let me reset your attention right here, because this part is critical. Pick up the coin and check the date, 1942. Now look just below the date for the mint mark. No mint mark means Philadelphia. A D means Denver. An S means San Francisco. And this is where things get dangerous, in the best possible way. One of the most famous errors in U.S. coin collecting history is the 1942 over 1941 wheat penny. Yes, some 1942 pennies were struck using leftover 1941 dies that were re-engraved incorrectly. Under magnification, you can actually see traces of a 1 beneath the 2 in the date. This is not a rumor. This is documented history. A genuine 1942-41 overdate, especially the 1942 D over 41, has sold at auction $4.50 to over $15,000, depending on condition and certification. And here's the shocking part. Some were found dirty, circulated, and nearly spent. That's hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. Reset again. The color A real 1942 wheat penny should be bronze, brown to dark brown if circulated. But if your coin has unusual tones, uneven coloring, or traces of original red copper beneath the dirt, stop. Original red or red-brown survivors are rare. A 1942 penny with strong original color, even lightly worn, can sell for hundreds to thousands of dollars. Most people clean these coins and destroy the value without knowing it. Now flip the coin over and look closely at the wheat ears. Do the lines look doubled, thick, or shadowed? The 1942 double die obverse and reverse varieties are real and collectible. Look at the lettering in Liberty, In God We Trust, and the wheat stalks. Strong doubling can bring $400 to $3,000, depending on how bold it is and whether it's authenticated. Collectors pay for mistakes they can clearly see. Now let me reset your attention with a true collector shocker. A heavily circulated 1942 D over 41 wheat penny, dark and scratched, sold at auction for over $8,000. The coin looked ugly. That's why it survived. The owner found it in an old family collection and almost ignored it. That's big money hiding inside something most people overlook. Now let's talk about rim and edge errors. Run your finger around the edge of the coin. Does it feel uneven? Thicker on one side? Flattened or stretched? You could be holding a broad strike error. Broad-struck wheat pennies from the early 1940s have sold for $300 to $200, even when heavily worn. And most people think those coins are damaged. They're not. Reset again. Off-center strikes. If Lincoln's portrait or the wheat ears are shifted noticeably to one side and part of the coin is blank, do not dismiss it. Minor off-center strikes start around $200, $500. Strong off-centers, where 15 to 30% of the design is missing, have sold for $1,000 to $3,000. Because rarity always beats condition. Now listen closely, this is important. 1942 is also dangerous because it sits right before the famous 1943 steel penny year. Collectors carefully study late 1942 coins for planchet and metal errors. If a 1942 penny feels unusually light, thin, or strange, it could be an off-metal or defective planchet error. These have sold for $500 to over $5,000, depending on the mistake. Collectors fight over these. Another reset, clipped planchets, If your 1942 penny looks like a clean bite was taken out of it, that's not damage. That's a genuine mint error. Curved clips are especially valuable. A clipped 1942 wheat penny can sell for $200 to $1,200 or more, and much higher if paired with another error. That's how coins cross into life-changing value territory. Now here's the emotional truth. Most of the most valuable wheat pennies ever discovered were dirty, worn, almost thrown away. Cleaning a coin like this can erase 70 to 90% of its value instantly. Dirt is not your enemy. Dirt is protection. That's why collectors say big money doesn't always shine. Sometimes big money looks forgotten, and demand is rising fast. Wheat pennies are disappearing from circulation. Collectors in the US and UK are competing for rare varieties. Auction prices keep climbing as supply dries up, which brings us to the cliffhanger. Somewhere right now, a 1942 wheat penny worth thousands of dollars is sitting in a jar, a roll, or an inherited collection about to be ignored. Stop. Do not skip this. Because the old, dirty penny sitting at the bottom of your drawer right now could be big money, the kind of hidden treasure that has already turned ordinary people into legends. I'm talking about the 1944 wheat penny, a coin so deceptive, so misunderstood, that some versions have sold for hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million. Yes, a penny. And here's the scary part, most people throw this coin away without ever knowing what they had. Let me take you back. It's 1944. The world is still on fire. World War II is raging, and the U.S. Mint is under extreme pressure. Copper is desperately needed for ammunition. Steel was used for pennies in 1943, but in 1944, the mint officially switched back to copper, melting down shell casings from the war. Or at least, that's what was supposed to happen. Because in the chaos of wartime production, something incredible slipped through the cracks. A mistake so rare, so shocking, that collectors still talk about it in whispers. Now listen carefully, because this is where life-changing value begins. Most 1944 wheat pennies are copper. Brown, dark, dirty, worn-down copper. Those are common. But a tiny number of 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. Steel. They were never supposed to exist. And yet, they do. A genuine 1944 steel wheat penny has sold at auction for $180,000, $375,000, and one confirmed example sold for over $1,000,000. That's not hype. That's real auction history. Now reset your attention right here, because identification matters. Pick up your coin. Check the date, 1944. Now grab a magnet. If your 1944 penny sticks to a magnet, stop everything. Do not clean it. Do not spend it. You may be holding one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered. That single test separates a 1-cent coin from big money. But that's not the only hidden treasure hiding in 1944. Now look just below the date for the mint mark. No mint mark means Philadelphia. A D means Denver. An S means San Francisco. Each mint has its own story and its own rare errors. Let's reset again with another shock. The 1944 D-wheat penny struck on a steel planchet is even rarer than the Philadelphia version. One example sold for over $1.70 million in private sale. That's a penny worth more than many homes. And here's the terrifying truth. Some of these coins were found dirty, scratched, and nearly discarded. That's why collectors say big money hides in ugly coins. Now let's talk color, because color tells secrets. A normal 1944 wheat penny should be copper, brown to dark brown if circulated. If your coin looks silvery, gray, or unusually pale, that's a red alert. Even a damaged steel example can be worth 6 figures. If it looks copper but has strange tones, patchy red, orange, or ghostly gray, it could be a wrong planchet, alloy error, or altered surface that needs professional examination. Collectors don't guess. They test. Reset again. Asterisk, asterisk, errors, asterisk, asterisk. Look closely at Lincoln's portrait and the lettering. Do the words look doubled? Thick? Shadowed? The 1944 double die obverse and reverse varieties are real. Strong doubling on, in God we trust, liberty, or the wheat stalks can bring $300 to $3,000, even in worn condition. Now check the rim. Is it uneven? Extra thick on one side? Flattened or stretched? You could be looking at a broad strike error. Broad struck 1944 wheat pennies have sold for $400 to over $1,500, depending on eye appeal. And most people mistake them for damage. Another reset. Asterisk, asterisk, off-center strikes, asterisk, asterisk. If the design is clearly shifted and part of the coin is blank, do not ignore it. A 10 to 15% off-center 1944 wheat penny can sell for $250, $600. A dramatic off-center strike can reach $2,000 or more. And here's what makes this emotional. Every one of these coins was once spent as a penny. Every one passed through ordinary hands. Now let me hit you with a real story. A family cleaning out an old toolbox found a dirty, gray-looking 1944 penny stuck to a nail. They almost threw it away. Instead, they tested it with a magnet. It stuck. That coin later authenticated as a genuine 1944 steel cent and sold for over $200,000. That's not luck. That's awareness. That's hidden treasure revealed. Now listen closely because this might save you from making a heartbreaking mistake. Never clean a 1944 wheat penny. Cleaning can destroy 50 to 90% of its value instantly. Dirt is not your enemy. Dirt is history. Dirt is protection. Collectors pay for originality. And demand is exploding. Wheat pennies are disappearing from circulation. US and UK collectors are competing fiercely for rare wartime errors. Prices keep climbing as fewer examples remain undiscovered. Which brings us to the cliffhanger. Somewhere right now, a 1944 wheat penny worth thousands or hundreds of thousands or more is sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten box about to be ignored.